Hi, my name is Ben Clark. I am 22 years old. I'm from Costa Mesa, California, and I currently live in San Luis Obispo, where I've been studying landscape architecture for the last 5 years. It's a 5 year program. I finish in March, and I walk across the stage in June of this year. Um, I heard about this job opportunity through a friend of a friend. My friend Eric Lipner knows Joy Masters, who I've heard great things about the program um, through and his experience. And I know he worked for you for a few summers back in the day. So I kind of talked with him a little bit, heard about some of the job details. So start date, yes. I was corresponding with Miss Patty and learned that training week starts June 11th, so people should arrive there on or before then. I previously was talking to her about that, and I let her know that I could be in at the lodge by the 20th of June, which I realize isn't super ideal as guests first arrive the 17th, and then I would miss the training. But I was accounting for my graduation day for that, where I walk across the stage. The truth of the matter is I actually finish in March, so I could come for that training week. So, however, that being said, I also very much think that finishing strong in all areas of life is very important. And so, yeah, with that, I would love to still continue to graduate, which that day is on the 17th. So I would love to figure out a way, if it's possible, to figure this out, whether that's me coming a little bit earlier to the training. I'm totally willing to make an extra trip if it makes sense to come early, say like the 8th or 9th of June or something, train for a week, maybe come back down the 15th so I can do the graduation ceremony, and then fly back up on the 18th, which I realize is still a day late. And I realize that may not work quite for the lodge and, having guests registered and all that stuff, but I'd love to start the conversation, and if a phone call would be easier to try and figure it out and kind of work through any solutions, I would be super open to that. So, yeah, that's that. All right, next question. So, yes, I realize that guests at the lodge are paying $1,000 per day to be there to have that experience with us, which is a lot of money. I personally haven't been in a position of service in that. However, I have been on the other end of it. There's a Balboa Bay Club here in Newport, near where I live, where I'm from, and it's kind of the same sort of clientele, same sort of people, where it's super high end. People are paying lots of money to stay there. Yeah, I've been there with grandparents and stuff, and kind of been on the other end and seen how, the people that are working there treat the guests. And so I realize and recognize that the customer always comes first, and that you need to be aware, actively looking for needs and fulfilling them before the customer even asks. So yeah, there's that. I also have been in a high-end customer service position selling donuts at a place called Sidecar over here in Newport Beach. I did this for 3 years in high school and had to deal with a lot of what you might call conservative clientele with lots of money, lots of expectations. These people are spending it sounds stupid, it's just donuts, but they're spending anywhere from like $3 to $6 on a donut. Anyway, they're the similar sort of people, ones that would book a 4-day fishing excursion in Alaska. So I'm familiar with the type of people that deals with, and kind of addressing that, talking about the dress code. 100%, I'm totally good with dress code. Having a neat appearance and neat clothes. Completely comfortable with that. I went to conservative Christian private school, so we wore uniforms every day and had short hair and all that stuff. So that's all good with me. So yeah, things I know about the job description. I'm applying for the deckhand position. I know that this job is incredibly strenuous, actually one of the most strenuous jobs up at the lodge. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's also highly rewarding, is what I've been told. You wake up at 4:30 a.m. and you're serving the clients and guests all day long before, preparing boats, getting ice, all day long on the boat, fishing with them, helping them do lures, keeping them safe, cleaning fish, and then also washing up the boat and getting it clean until around like 6 p.m., 6:30. Yeah, I kind of realized that getting sleep is the most important thing in this stretch of time to keep from getting fatigued and maintaining a positive work attitude. Deckhands are in charge of greeting the guests when they arrive on the float plane, grabbing their luggage from them, smiling, giving them a warm welcome, That first impression is super important. I also realized that most of the customers at the lodge are repeat customers, so they keep coming back because of this incredible experience that they've been having for however many years. And so it's really important to keep that reputation and that attention to detail consistent throughout, and then just continuing to ask them questions and get to know them, make them feel welcome. That's kind of one of the huge aspects about working up at the lodge. Another thing, keep making sure that all the people on the boat are talked to evenly, giving equal attention, not giving attention to more people other than others, because some will be more fun to talk to. But making sure that everyone gets attention and feels welcomed and offered hot chocolate and all that stuff. And then also I think something important with that is asking questions, getting to know them. I think, people like to talk about themselves, and, getting to know someone is really how you can kind of make them feel welcome. And kind of along those lines, the no fraternization policy also, I understand, which applies to both guests of the lodge and also fellow employees, not crossing any boundaries as far as more than friendship or anything like that. Deckhands also have to know all the technical stuff, like how to bait hooks, how to fish, what type of fish, general knowledge of the area and the wildlife and history of the lodge and all that stuff. And, also safety measures, first aid, CPR, making sure leads aren't swinging around, hitting people after you reel in a fish. Safety of the client comes first before all things, definitely. And, definitely. I just know that this position is super awesome and high rewarding, that cool friendships are made, and it's a really cool work environment with fellow employees and getting to know the visitors. Kind of along those lines, what past experiences have prepared me for this? There's a few. There's a few things that I've done. Working a seasonal job at Hume Lake Christian Camps, my own recreational fishing experience, and then also I would say hiking the John Muir Trail. So I'll start with that one. This kind of also answers the other question about are you capable essentially of working for 3 months with 0 days off? And I would say very much yes, I am prepared for that sort of work environment because of my experience both at Hume Lake and on the John Muir Trail. So on the John Muir Trail, I hiked 210 miles through the Sierras for 3 weeks straight with my brother and my mom and my cousin, and that was a really cool experience. It was so rewarding. It was incredible. Saw the most beautiful things up there I've ever seen. But it's really grueling at times. Also, the first week adjusting to the routine of what it means to be hiking in the Sierras with a 45-pound pack on your back is super gnarly. And then there's just the fatigue of getting up and doing the same thing every single day. So that is something I'm definitely used to. You kind of just at some times put your head down, put one foot in front of the other, and you keep going until you make it. And that's because there's a goal at the end. And you're not going to reach that goal by quitting or having a bad attitude about it. So, it's kind of fun. It's kind of like type 2 fun, something my friends and I joke about. It's like sometimes it's not fun in the moment, but after you finish it, you get there and you're like, oh, wow, that was really cool. I actually really enjoyed that, and I appreciated it, and I grew from it. It's the same sort of thing with hiking or rock climbing or any sort of kind of like physical strenuous thing like that. So there's that. There's also working a few summers back at Hume Lake Christian Camps. I was a lifeguard up there. This job was essentially the same sort of thing where you're up there for, I was up there for 3 months working every day doing the same thing. That experience was really cool, keeping, watching over people, keeping them safe, making sure these kids are having a really good time at camp. So I'm used to that 3-month kind of seasonal summer commitment and what that means. And then just practically, there's my own recreational fishing experience. I grew up camping in the mountains and trout fishing in lakes and stuff like that. And then also more recently, in the past couple of years, my uncle's got this 22-foot little fishing boat, and we'll take that out and go fishing for Dorado or bluefin or halibut, stuff like that. We were just out a couple weeks ago, like a month or so, and got some Dorado off of Catalina, which was super fun. So I just genuinely enjoy fishing too. So that's definitely part of the reason that I'm interested in this position. And just being able to see Alaska and that whole experience. And fishing can just be, I realize it can be challenging and disappointing in and of itself because it takes a lot of patience to, be out there. And sometimes it doesn't, it's not rewarding because you don't get the fish or whatever. But, just love fishing in general. So, totally see that experience and how that will feed into this. All right, so next question. A situation in which I was frustrated with an employee or a client or anything. So I was working at an architectural firm a few summers ago, doing mostly just CAD draft work, and sometimes my employer was a little difficult to work with. He would ask me to make changes to documents and give me instructions on how to do it, and then kind of just like run off to go do his next thing because he was busy. So sometimes there would kind of not be enough instruction. So that was kind of frustrating to, be trying to do things with not enough information, and not knowing quite what to do in those situations. So that, it was difficult. So anyway, I learned that communication is super key in these situations where I had to learn to go above and beyond with understanding the assignment and getting extra information and making sure that I had that before he left to go places. Sometimes I just had him write out simple instructions for me if he was, knew he was going to be gone for a while or something like that. So, knowing expectations so that I could do my job correctly was very important, and that all comes down to communication. Have I ever had to deal with an irate customer? Yes, I have. So as I mentioned before, the donut shop that I was working at in high school, one time this lady came in and I served her donut and her coffee, and she very clearly and loudly and with cursing made it known that her order was not correct. And so at first I was super shocked and I was like, whoa, I don't know what to do in this situation. But obviously it needed to be diffused. So I quickly apologized, just made all the accommodations I could, and I asked her how I could fix it. And immediately that position of hey, I want to fix this totally diffused her. And she was like, oh, cool, thank you. Can I just get the thing? And I was like, yeah, no problem. So it's just funny how a change of attitude and diffuses those situations. I know it kind of almost felt like she wanted to argue about something, but anyway, so that was something I learned then. Next question, have I been in a situation where I wanted to say something and it didn't quite come out right or was misunderstood? I would say a couple months ago I was doing a client meeting with someone who wanted their landscape redesigned, and so we were walking the yard and we were talking about the front yard and the grass, and I made a comment about how the grass was a little funky and it was designed a little oddly, which at the time I didn't know that the husband in that situation had done the previous landscape design. And so that got mentioned and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to call your grass work funky or anything like that. So I apologized immediately and let him know my intention. I didn't mean to, insult him or anything like that. And he was like, oh no, it's all good. I understood what you meant. And obviously we're there to talk about the redesign. So it was all good. But I understand how in a situation where something comes out right, apologies the first thing. And not, the intention wasn't to, cause any riff or anything. I think that's all the questions. I'd love to be considered for this position because I think I'd be a valuable, hardworking asset to your team. I know what it's like to work for long stretches of, summertime like this, knowing what it's like to persevere through long stretches of work and, hard things. I also love talking to people and getting to know them, and I think that asking questions is a really cool way to do that. So I think, I would love to be a part of this team and kind of have this experience and contribute back to the lodge and kind of get to know you guys super well and, have this awesome time in Alaska. It really excites me. I love fishing. I would definitely bring a positive work attitude and excitement to the workplace. Yes, thank you so much for your time and your consideration. I look forward to hearing from you, and please let's talk about the possibility of that training week and how we can make it work. Thank you so much. Talk to you later.